It's episode 330 on January 3rd, 2022 on Canadian Patriot Podcast. This is John McDonald with Music and the Truth Until Dawn. Right now I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. It's 9 o'clock Canadian, another day closer to victory, and for all of you out there on or behind the line, this is your song.
And we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. So please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. A version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes.
We need your help. To support Canadian Patriot Podcast, visit patreon.com/CPP and become Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. Show you're not a communist by buying a CPP t-shirt for just $24 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
And yes, to the many people that have ordered sweaters for that pre-sale, we finally got our last sweater in. Unfortunately, the supply chain was a big pain in the ass to try and find all these sweaters, but we got everything. We did not forget. We're finishing them up. They should be in the mail by Friday. I'll be sending emails to everybody for updates, but thank you very much for your patience.
Don't lie here. It's not going to be you sending the emails. It's going to be your lovely wife sending the emails. But the emails will go out nonetheless.
Yeah, sorry, I should rephrase that. An email will come your way. Yes, yes, she will definitely be doing lots of that. But yes, thank you for your patience. Apologies for it taking forever, but we got the last sweater right before Christmas. So now we're just grabbing the rest of the material tomorrow, and won't take long. We will put them in the mail and send emails off saying they're on the way. We appreciate your patience. You're on mute, Andrew.
I'm not on mute. Sweaters, that's good. I'm excited. Definitely wasn't muting my phone because I've definitely never done a podcast before.
Yeah.
All right.
Just
so
like every listener could be, it's their first time listening. Every show it could be our first time podcasting all over again.
I mean, I want to say it kind of feels like every time's the first time, but also it's really not. I should have a better handle on some of this by now.
Yeah, well.
But that's
what
okay.
You pay for.
Let's. Oh yeah, and apologies to the Patreons for that, I suppose. So my favorite segment, it's called "What Are We Drinking?" It's where we ask everybody what you're drinking. We'll go anti-clockwise. No, let's do regular clockwise. Let's start with Benny. Benny, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking, I think it's but PC's version of Corona. Don't ask me what it's called. Like, whatever. It's good. Or if you like Corona, I prefer their honey brown ale. Or whatever it is, their honey ale.
I'm so confused about what variant of Corona Benny has.
I think he has the Omicron version of the Corona. I think that's what it is.
Oh boy.
It's PC's beer. They just came out with their version of a light beer, of a light clear beer. I'm not a connoisseur of beer, sorry. So yeah. President's choice for me.
All right. Well, President's choice, not Corona beer.
Meh.
Pierre, what are you drinking?
Canadian whiskey, straight.
Excellent. Gavin? You're not wearing your very stylish sunglasses. What are you drinking?
Everyone's doing the whole new year, new me thing. I'm doing a slightly different thing where it's new year, same old asshole, and I'm drinking Jack Daniels and Diet Pepsi this evening.
Wow, Jack and Diet Pepsi. I would have never guessed.
Yeah, that's the same old asshole part. Okay.
Well,
so
I'm drinking
what's
something
the new
new.
part then?
Unlike you, Gavin, I am drinking something new. I have Bench Brewing Company's Mountain View Stout. A stout that I have not had before.
Interesting. How is it?
It's good. It's a stout. 6%. Tastes kind of chocolatey. It's pretty good. Was not prepared to give a good review. Sorry, Bench Brewing Company, you get what you pay for. Your sponsorship dollar is hard at work.
Fair.
If you like it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I drink more of it. It's good. I don't think it's anything
Drink 8
amazing, but
beers.
it's a good quality stout. I like a nice stout, especially this time of year because it's cold and BS in southern Ontario right now.
Yeah, it's a
How
little chilly
cold is
today.
it for you guys?
Minus
I mean, it was
14
around
for
minus
me.
20 with the wind chill this morning. It's warmed up a bit since then.
Oh, it was colder than that before the wind chill where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not a huge fan. Be
I don't
very
mind
happy
the
if I had
cold, but-
Corona on a beach.
I'm not a huge fan of the cold, but I don't mind like kind of easing into it, right? Like it's slowly start. Like we've had very
Yeah, you
mild
gotta,
weather lately, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, wake up and it's minus 20. It was like minus 25 this morning. I was like, yeah, that's a bit of a shock.
Yeah,
like
there
I
was
don't
a-
mind the cold.
Yeah, it's definitely
But-
a jump from yesterday to today. I think all over
Yeah.
the province of Ontario, it was
Yeah.
drastically warmer yesterday than it was today.
Yeah, but that's okay. Winter in Canada
Yeah.
beats having animals that try to kill you all the time.
Yeah, sometimes we give them a break and it's just the cold that can.
That's fine. I also saw Josh from New Shooter Canada had posted on his Instagram that he's participating in the Patriot Challenge. So this will be our reminder to remind everyone 5 things every day to be a better person. And now it's a competition because New Shooter Canada is involved.
Yeah.
The New Shooter Canada panelist host, podcaster. I'm not sure. Benny, what do you call the people that are on New Shooter Canada?
I think they're hosts.
Hosts?
Yeah, we call them hosts.
All right, so
Or they
one of
call
those
them hosts.
suckers.
Wow, that's not very nice. You know they listen, right? Or at least he does.
I know.
Hi, Josh.
Yeah.
Hi, Josh. I did respond to Josh's Instagram there. I'm obviously in, so I'll be doing the Patriot Challenge with him because it's every day. 5 things every day. Be a better person. Exercise for 45 minutes. Practice a skill for 10 minutes. Read a book for 15 minutes. Drink 2 liters of water. And complete a task that will improve your life because you should always be improving your fighting position.
Yeah.
And if you're on
That's why
social
we
media,
drink on
grab the
Mondays.
template. Well, that train how you fight.
Yeah. And yeah, while the show may not be on the IGs, we still have eyes everywhere.
Not unlike the CSIS agents that check in with us from time to time.
Yeah. Hence my snazzy glasses. These are my attempt to confuse them.
Well, I'm sure it will work.
Yeah. Only
Section
the
74
highest of
challenges.
technology.
Well, if the hater blockers on Zoom don't work for you, I don't know. Section 74 challenges are ongoing. Go to GoFundMe, send them some money. Lawyers are expensive. Fighting the government is expensive. Fighting the government legally and with due process in a court is expensive.
Yeah.
Also,
Certainly
the other
don't-
kinds are probably
Yeah,
also
but we
going
don't
to have some...
advocate for that. Yeah. No, that's
Right.
Yeah, no, because I was about to say, have you seen the price of ammo? It ain't cheap, man.
yeah.
Oh boy.
And like we said in the not last show, but the one before that, we had to give back all the spicy stuff.
Yes, we had to.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm
Um,
assuming a few people have drywalled over the Christmas break.
Funny you mentioned that. I have some painting I need to finish, actually.
Yeah, same.
I hate drywalling.
You know what? I don't mind drywalling. I hate taping and mudding.
Yeah, well, yeah.
See, I
Mudding
love
is-
that. I hate sanding.
Mudding, well, sanding is just because you were bad at taping and mudding.
Yeah. I mean, I can put sheets up and
it's-
put screws through the wall and whatnot. That part's easy. It's the rest of it.
I have seen you use a screw gun before. I question this.
Hey, it's fine. I've managed to get my slat wall up just fine.
That's true. Your screw gun ability has certainly improved recently. It's probably the switch to the fancy red tools.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Not to be
I love
confused with
fancy red
leftists.
tools.
Yeah, Gavin and I are both on Team Milwaukee there. It's all the fancy
Yeah.
red tools all the time.
Oh yeah.
I do it because it color coordinates with all my Hornady reloading equipment, so my whole garage is red and black.
Well, and then this way, when we have build parties, at least everything is interchangeable. So
That's right. Everybody's got the same batteries.
yeah,
I
Milwaukee
buy them
Master
'cause
Race is how that is.
they're
Yeah.
pretty much the best on the market, bang for your buck, unless you want to go Hilti.
Yeah, I don't have Hilti money because I am not one of those trades.
No.
Yeah.
And even people in those trades don't have Hilti money.
Yeah,
like those things are not cheap. I worked.
Yeah, they always throw a swanky party during the concrete show next to the CSSA party.
The joke for everybody on the podcast that doesn't get that is the concrete show and shot show happen at the same time in Vegas. This is why, yes.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't been there for one of those, you wouldn't know that.
No.
Probably. You
I
might
don't
not
know.
know that. Maybe you do.
No.
Maybe you follow what's going on in Las Vegas activity event calendar thing.
Yeah.
And you know when the AVN awards are and when
And
the
what
concrete
happens
show
before
is,
it? Yeah.
and the shot show is. Maybe you know all of these things, but
Yeah.
Probably-
Or
I
maybe you
would
just
imagine
know when
most
the
people-
AVN is. Yeah.
I would imagine most people not so much. Now I know it's the 3rd of January. Everybody is super excited about coronavirus. The Optimus Prime variant is going to get us all. There's new restrictions in Quebec and Ontario. BC canceled New Year's. We're not talking about
Yeah.
coronavirus this week.
So
Well, yeah, we're
So
waiting
is
for
BC
BC to catch up. They're still in 2021.
Oh, I got distracted here. We have a panelist that is stuck in the lobby. I have to see if I can sort them out.
Oh, wow.
we can edit this part out later, right?
No, we're gonna leave it in. Yeah. Everybody
That's
loves
character.
awkward silences, right?
Well, so that's
Bread
so
and butter.
fun fact. Now I have to edit this out. So it's stuck in YouTube because I'm not going to fix it there because editing in the YouTube editor is terrible.
Yeah.
But if everyone was quiet, I would have been able to just like truncate the silence, and it would have been fine in the edited version of the show. But now I'm going to have to find this thing at what are we at? Like 14 minutes,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
chop out this section. So it's going to be super fun, and I'm going to do a bad job of it.
Yeah. Well, you get what
Okay.
you pay for.
You know what? Rewind. Now that we know all this, we'll
Yeah,
rewind.
yeah.
Perfect. That's great. Anyway, back into the thing. No COVID stuff. On to the news. First thing is COVID stuff. So I kind of,
Not really.
It's not really.
well, I mean, kind of, sort of, not exactly.
Yeah.
So I have
It's not so much
two-
COVID. It's kind of just happened
It's
due to
COVID adjacent.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. So the first one's on the post millennial.
It's our
obviously-
prime minister apologizing again.
No,
It's not COVID.
no. First article is in the post millennial. Second article is on True North News. Links, as always, are in the show notes. Show notes are on the website. Go to the website /CPP330, whatever CPP, whatever the episode number is, will always get you that episode's show notes. On the post millennial, Trudeau government admits it used mass surveillance during lockdown. And from True North News, Canadians should have zero trust after Fed spied on 33 million devices. Privacy expert. I'm
Yeah,
really
you
happy I
guys
get to
all
use
need your
Post
hater
Millennial
blockers
and
too. Yeah.
True North News at the same time because of like questionable alternative media, they're the least questionable
Yeah, but who
because
else
this
is
is
going to report
not
on it?
being talked about at all.
Yeah.
I cannot.
But-
There's like Buffalo Chronicle has an article on this, and that's it. And I shouldn't say that's it, but it's all repeating the same stuff that's in True North News. It's not. There's no mainstream legacy journalism.
Yeah, but they
about
won't get
this.
their free money if they report on this. Like,
Not near an
There's-
election, so
Well, I don't think it has
They
anything to do
don't
with an election. This got
they don't have to
broken
pretend
by.
to be neutral.
Yeah, but they have to
They
be.
never pretended to be neutral.
Yeah.
Didn't they
They
come out
all-
with a story or two near the election, like ragging on Trudeau a little bit?
So
No.
not this last election cycle or the one before that. Ever since he says like, here's the money. Like before, when it was questionable, they would occasionally put out like a somewhat more central view opinion piece rather than full on lefty communist view piece, and maybe slightly attack the Liberal Party. But after that, it's always just been like full
Attack is
on
very strong. There has been
Question?
very little that has been critical of.
pointed
the-
finger in the general direction of.
There's been very little that's been critical of the Liberals
Yeah.
and Liberal Party since
Yeah,
their
it's-
election.
It's only around like that first election, really. After that, because they had the like, you need to be on board with this to get the government money.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
now
they
everybody's on board.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of not surprised that the government would do this. Like, I'm just curious if anybody is really surprised.
No,
Like,
because
what
they've
app-
already
like,
admitted
what-
to doing it several times. Like,
Right? But I mean, like, what app can you download that you can answer no to any of the questions? Like, why do I need the weather app? You know, to have access to my contacts. Right? Like, I just want to know the weather around where I am without having to actually open up Google, type in where I live, weather, and like, right? So, like, I get it's just really douchey of the government to do, but anybody that's surprised by this, I think that's kind of
so
So
where I'm
two different things
surprised,
going
yeah.
on. So the first part of that is the download the app and use the app thing. The federal government did introduce the COVID tracking alert app that we like. I
yeah.
made fun of it on the show. I might not have been
Oh,
alone
yeah.
in that, but I recall distinctly making fun of that because I'm like,
Yeah.
why would I download the government spyware on my spy device? Like
Yeah,
the
they
least they
already
could do
have
is work
built-
for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
not hard.
So it turns
Yeah,
out that
yeah.
the government spy app, the COVID alert app that I was critical of because I'm like, this is definitely going to just be tracking you and giving your information to the federal government because it's definitely just going to do that. And then it came out that that's exactly what it was doing. A
Yeah.
grand total of 25,000 people in the whole country installed the app.
But now, so is any of this potential data also, did anybody else get like a random software update on their phone where you
Well,
had
so-
to go into your settings and not download the app, but you had to turn off the notifications or the tracker at least for COVID-19?
Yes.
Yeah.
Android and iPhone Apple
Yeah.
devices all got that update, which
But that-
true,
Yeah.
but not the point of the article.
Yeah, and
Okay,
those were
so-
just like those companies just virtue signaling that they're helping make everyone healthy and safe. Yeah.
Because your phone has near field communication and Bluetooth, and it can talk to other things with near field communication and Bluetooth.
Yeah,
You can also tap it to pay for your purchases like a debit card. But
Yeah.
all of those things are things that you're doing with your smartphone, right? You're choosing to have your smartphone and do.
Yeah.
What the government has done during the first lockdowns in, so I think it was in March of 2020.
it was very early on in the whole like initial lockdown.
So it turns out that the government had collected cell phone data from the cellular service providers,
Yeah,
and they collected this data for 33 million devices. Now, it says devices, but it's going to be specifically devices with SIM cards on a cellular network, right?
so it could be a tablet, it could be your
Could be a tablet,
smartwatch,
could be
it
your
could be
truck.
various things. Yeah,
But 33 million devices.
Yeah.
All of which are linked to personal identifiers.
Yeah.
Things like your phone number, things that you're doing with that SIM card, who you're calling, who you're texting, what you're downloading, anything that's not going through a VPN, anything that's not secure. Now, they say that they've de-identified all the data and there's no way that it could be re-identified.
But
I
they were
have
still
no faith in that.
well, and if they're still using that data. So like initially what they were doing was they were trying to see where groups of people were congregating and not necessarily tracking any one individual, but like they would look at like a big map and see
Well,
a
let's,
flare up of clusters of people where there shouldn't be clusters of people because we weren't allowed to be hanging out, and then they would send the cops to go bust it up.
I feel like you don't need to download special software to do that though.
They didn't.
Like I'm
no,
like
that's
no,
the
I'm
whole.
saying,
That's the whole point. Public
Yeah.
Health Agency of Canada collected cell phone tower data,
Yeah.
for 33 million devices.
Yeah.
To figure out where people were and what they were doing during the lockdown, because you can track a device by what tower it's connected to and when it moves to different towers, and they were able to see where people are going and who else was going to the same places at the same times, because cell phone triangulation is reasonably simple as long as you have a buttload of cell phone towers. So anywhere that's urban, anywhere in the 401 corridor, the Greater Toronto area, any big city, it's really easy to see, oh, look, all of these people are all driving to the same place at the same time from these other locations. And if you're somewhere rural where there's not great cell phone coverage, if all of a sudden everybody connects to the one available tower and they're not normally in that area where there is one tower, again, it makes it really easy for somebody like Public Health Agency of Canada to go like, hey, look, there's all these people in this area. We can't really say like where specifically, what intersection they're at, because a cell phone tower covers a fairly large area, right? We're talking tens of kilometers worth of coverage with the right conditions.
If you hit 5 or 6 towers, they can
Triangulation gets
and
really,
then
really easy.
gives you a much smaller group, enough that they can send a cop car in the area and go, there's a bunch of people hanging out here. It looks like there's 50 people. You should be able to spot them pretty friggin' easily.
Right. And this is the problem is,
sorry,
all I
like,
gather
this
from
is-
all this. Go ahead, Ben.
Go up here. Oh, I was gonna say I watched a video recently on someone talking about how they don't want to use Wi-Fi because your IP address, so people can track IP addresses, kind of thing. And this could be my technologically.
So I'm going to let you
unknown.
in on a little bit of a secret here, Benny.
Yeah.
If you're using any form of digital communication,
Yeah.
you can be tracked.
Right. No. I'm saying that. I'm agreeing with you. No, I'm saying that. I'm probably gonna get the details wrong, but like the idea that they can say that there's a cluster of IP addresses in this area, isn't that that information already public? So what advantage was the app doing, or was the spying doing?
we're confusing
They
two
were
things.
gonna-
It's not an app. It's cell phone
Right.
tower data.
I see. Okay.
That they don't, the app, like if you willingly put the app on your phone, you're an idiot. Cell data is supposed to be like, they can get warrants and stuff like that to do that, to track individuals and everything, like terrorists and all of the things. This was
But we
done
shouldn't
without
be
any sort
en
of
masse
warrant.
turning over cell phone data for all consumers to the Public Health Agency of Canada to do with what they want. On that note, we should catch up. Colt is here. Colt,
Yes.
welcome to the show. We've already done What Are You Drinking? Are you drinking?
I am. I got some old style Pilsner.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Brian would be proud.
Yes, he would. Yeah, I finally got it figured out. I don't know.
Good. Well, we're glad you're here. Try
You
me
probably
as
had
we
to
go.
get the government listening devices off the computer first in order to free up the RAM in order for this to work.
See, the computers are so old, man. Like, they probably don't even track them anymore.
I don't know. The old ones make it easier to track. The new ones.
Well,
do all
unless
kinds
you
of new
go
and
so
exciting
old
things.
that it takes floppy disks and then just nothing works because the programs they use to track you are too big and they just won't fit on the computer.
No, I got a
But you
message
need to
saying
clarify.
won't update anymore. So, I don't know. Kind of old, I guess.
You need to specify which floppy disk, the small one or the gigantic one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Real
again.
floppy, the one that actually flops.
An actual
Yeah, the one
floppy
that just
disk,
okay.
That's the one
The
that they
old
use
school.
still to run all the nuclear stuff.
Oh, they don't use punch cards? They actually use floppy disks?
No, I think they actually are still on punch cards or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah,
Why not?
But
you
if it ain't
bankies?
broke, don't fix it.
exactly.
Well, on that note, if it ain't broken, in this case it is. The reason I bring this all up, we talked about this a couple of shows ago. The government had put out a request for proposal for cellular service providers to provide all of this information to the government. Meanwhile, the government, this is all from the late December, the 20-ish, 23rd of December. saying the Public Health Agency of Canada specifically, has already collected all of the cell phone tower data and done a bunch of stuff with it to figure out where people were during the first set of lockdowns in the spring of 2020.
So all I gathered from all this is government's shitty, which we already knew.
Government
Leave your
shitty,
phone
yes,
at-
sir.
Okay, leave your phone at home and
Yes.
get yourself a few pigeons and start training them with all your close friends, and then you can still all congregate via pigeon message.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't try violating any of the rules, mandates, laws that the government is setting, but if you don't want to get caught breaking those things, don't bring your cell phone with you for starters, hypothetically.
And figure out other ways to communicate with your friends that are analog and not digital.
Phone signals?
Yes.
Yeah.
Something a little bit more covert would even be better.
Out where I live, that's covert.
Fair.
You blend in.
Laundry.
Downtown Toronto, maybe not.
But like, you know, things like dead drops and stuff like that.
I am, of course, massively disappointed with the government for having done this, because I get that it's not, like, strictly speaking an invasion of privacy, because there's no, like, reasonable expectation of privacy with, like, your cell phone, because you're using a utility.
Except that
But
there is,
also,
though.
this is really shitty.
Like I think there is some, like, you contract out with your service provider in the hope that they don't do this, right? Like it's one thing if you're a criminal and there's a warrant and all of those things, like they need to do that. But for them to track like a group of people, no warrant needed, because it's like there's a cost
Yes,
going
but
around.
no. I mean, so I understand the argument that you're making, Gavin. I don't think that there's a reasonable expectation of privacy with your spy device, though.
Well,
Like, you know it listens to you, and you know the phone
Yeah.
company can figure out where you are based on the cell tower that you're using.
yes.
I'm
okay,
irritated
fine.
that they just gave the information to the government
But that's the
without
right.
any...
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
That's the crux
Right,
of the
like-
issue, is them just handing it over.
Right. It's not the issue that, like, okay, everybody knows your cell phone tracks you. They can get almost every message, phone call you've made. I have no
Well, and
problem with that. That's a
that's why
contract.
we pay
You
like that
decide.
50 cents or whatever every month on our bill, so that like when we call 911, it knows where we are.
Yeah, but the issue is, right, like if the police that think that I have done something illegal and they need to prove within a reasonable doubt to get something, or have some backbone to it, for the cell phone company to be like, okay, fine, yes, we will give you this information, right? They need to get a judge to sign a warrant for it to hand over. I'm okay with that. But yeah, the big issue with this is just the cell phone companies, either the cell phone companies or the government somehow figured out to hack something and just get all the info and do as they want with it, right? Like last I checked, we're kind of not a communist country. That
You should check again.
They're still pushing the
I
socialism.
said kinda.
I don't know. Pravda doesn't cover this because it's not in any of the mainstream outlets. The government is monitoring where everyone is going. What's the next step in Gulag Archipelago?
I don't know. Book 1, I'm almost done, is literally all about just throwing people in jail. That's it.
Okay, so we haven't quite
25
reached that step
hours
yet.
of in jail. Right now, they're actually talking about people on trains and going to jail and how terrible that experience was.
Oh, good news. That's not going to work here, because if you don't have your vaccine passport, you can't get on a train. So
Unless we start forging those little tickets, and then you can still get on one.
Yeah, I'm good.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a good idea. You should forge that to get on that train, but
It's possible. Yeah,
there's a way. Yeah, it's possible.
that would be an interesting way of circumventing that one. You guys, I would really love to go to Gulag with you, but I can't.
Can't get on the train. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
I can't. Yeah, sorry.
Well, let's.
You should look at all the phone data and realize that I haven't gotten my double jab and the 8 boosters.
Yeah, I haven't even been near a hospital in 2 years.
Yeah. So, just saying.
I'm amazed that number is so low that only 25,000 people use that crappy government app. Not the monitoring, like the government maliciously obtaining cell phone tower data, but I'm surprised more people didn't go and get the COVID alert app.
Yeah, the overt government tracking app.
Yes, the overt, exactly. I'm surprised that the uptake rate was so low. I would have figured,
and I have a feeling it's probably
of the population would have got it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I probably have a feeling it's because of all those movies and talk show or whatever, right? Like Snowden, watching that movie and realizing that even though they had none of this technology, a predated app on it, that they can still track everybody, but I guess making it a little bit harder.
I'm going to attribute it to people's just not knowing what's going on around them. Like your average person
possibility.
Your average person on Reddit has no clue what's going on and had no idea there was an app out.
I mean, that's also likely. It's that people are oblivious. Yeah.
I mean, the government is pretty terrible at marketing, so that would not be a huge shock.
Yeah.
Well, see, so I have a hard time because I heard that all over the radio and everything. I just seriously think that at the beginning of all this, a lot of people
no one listens to the radio anymore.
No, I don't anymore. But
no, I'm saying people don't listen to the radio. They they watch YouTube. They do internet stuff. No one listens to.
That's why Bill Blair tweets everything. Because if it's not on Twitter, it doesn't count.
Right, but at the same time, I could also see at the beginning of all this, right, a lot of people were in a mass panic and just didn't understand what COVID was. We didn't have all the info. That at the beginning of this, the lockdowns and
as opposed to now, when we definitely have all the info.
Yeah.
Well, we have more reliable info, but just people aren't using the info properly, or they're using that info. Yeah. Well, so much for a non-COVID episode.
Well, it's not really COVID. It's COVID adjacent because it's the government spying on you, which is only a few steps removed from the government putting you on train to Gulag.
Yeah,
but
they're just using
let's talk about
the COVID
paying for the trains first. First, we have to buy the Gulag, then we get to use it.
I thought we were already doing that.
New you, new taxes. The Canadian Taxpayer Federation has a wonderful 14-page guide to the new taxes for 2022, broken down federally and for each province. And for the next couple of minutes, we're going to focus on the federal taxes. And if you want to go look at the bullshit in your province, there's a link in the show notes.
Are we talking taxes, or are we talking taxes or government mandated theft?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Yes. The gang of criminals that is currently in charge has decided that you need to give them more protection money.
It's 100. Yeah.
I thought that's called racketeering, not taxes.
No, that's only if you privatize.
Or is it when the government does it, it's called taxes. When anyone else does it, it's racketeering. Okay, I get it.
Exactly. That's what I said. The gang of criminals that's currently in charge.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. Yeah.
So federal income taxes are going up, but not a lot. The exception to that is if you make less than $30,000 a year, your federal income tax will go down by a whopping $22.
Well, this is how we're helping the middle class and those that are working hard to join them.
Well, so the one thing I will say, the federal income tax is actually, I don't think, keeping with inflation for the most part. The under $30,000 of income, federal income tax goes down by $22. $40,000 bracket, it goes up by $3. $50,000 bracket, it goes up by $28. And then we get into real numbers again. $60,000 goes up by $111. So I think by the time that we're actually getting into like full-time real employment, not somebody who works full-time at a minimum wage job, by the time we're getting into like $60,000 a year incomes, the increase in taxes is actually exceeding inflation. So for people that are working minimum wage jobs or less, you're actually coming out ahead on this because the amount that it's gone up is less than what the inflation would be.
I need to start paying
everybody else, you're
dividends.
Going to pay more taxes.
But how much is the price of cucumbers going up? due to
Oh,
inflation.
well,
Yeah.
unrelated but related. It's in the, is it in this document from the Taxpayer Federation or is it somewhere else I read? Due to the changes in justflation in this country, the grocery bill for an average Canadian family of 4 is going to rise almost $100 a month. I think the new number is going to be $966 a month on average for a family of 4. So I don't know
Well, thank
specifically
God
what
they
the
give us a-
cucumber makes up for that, but like it's not going to be an
Yeah, but-
insignificant amount.
I mean, imagine if they didn't give us the $22 a year tax break.
You'd have no cucumbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
you can have a cucumber. You need to figure out how to make it last a year.
Yeah.
But we gave you a cucumber.
Just
Have you tried to
just
keep
bust in
cucumbers?
there, Cole.
That's-
Just like
that's,
use your
good
big
for a
boy
week in
voice
the
to
fridge.
talk
That's it.
over
Like
everyone.
7
It's good,
days.
Don't worry. They'll shut up eventually.
Cucumbers.
You could pickle it, I guess. If you pickled it, it'd
Yeah.
last a year.
Yeah, but
If
can
you
you
can even
afford the
find
jar?
any, though. I was at the grocery store today trying to get cucumbers, and they were all out. I was a little upset.
You got plenty of them over here. Yeah, just come down here.
All right, sold. Better get them while I can still afford them.
Well, I
Absolutely.
mean, may as well. Other things that are going up. Canadian pension plan. Tax on that is going to increase. I didn't realize we got taxed on the Canadian pension plan until I read this today. I was not amused.
How would you not think we were being taxed on something like that?
Because
So-
the way that it gets taken off my paycheck, I thought it was already
You
taxed.
just getting your money back, yeah.
I didn't realize it was being taxed again.
Yeah.
But
They did that with
also
the
with
EI,
that-
no? So why wouldn't they do it on this too?
It's considered
Well,
income, so it's got to be taxed,
Yes,
right?
CPP and EI are both being taxed more. CPP is going to go up to $333 taxable, up to the whatever the maximum contribution is, 60 some odd $1,000, which is a slight increase. It's about 0.2%, 0.2% of an increase.
So a quick funny aside. So my father, being a business owner and then also owning property that he rents to the business, was able to get out of paying EI because he will never be unemployed.
Nice.
So like there's a way that the person can do that and not pay that. So then they like, oh, well, you've done it for this long. We'll give you back your EI for the last 3 years or whatever. They, retroactive it. But then they sent him a tax bill for the increase in income for those as well. So it's like they get it one way or the other, right? Like,
Yeah, legalized
But
theft.
but also going back on Andrew's theory that you wouldn't be taxed on CPP if you've already paid taxes on your paycheck.
No, it was
what
just
would
my
make you-
misunderstanding of how because I thought it was an at-source deduction. It was already being
yeah, like
tax. I
your-
didn't
your
realize that part
CPP
of the
is a
deduction was
tax, like
also
you're-
tax.
You're just
Yes,
supposed
well,
to be
that-
like,
The
Your-
distinction is that I didn't realize that we were double dipping, but we
yeah,
are.
because the government is telling you that you need to be prepared for your retirement. So you're impossible
give
of
them
planning
money.
for that. So we have to force you to plan for it. So we're taking some of this money so that we can give it back to you later. They give it back to you later and go, yeah, but we still need a little bit of this. That's the
So am I the
and
only
same like when you're unemployed, and same with like this COVID CERB nonsense, where it's like, we know that you need help right now, so here's some money, but some of this is ours. And it's like, well, just give me less. Like, don't tax it. Just give me less.
Yeah.
I have an alternate idea. I could just
Don't
not
take
give them
anything at
any,
all.
and then they don't
Yeah.
have to give
Yeah.
me any, and we could just
Yeah.
call it even. It's almost
I'm
like
okay
I
with
could just
doing
work for
some-
my salary and then keep
But-
the profits of my labor
But Andrew,
instead
they
of
know
being
better
like
than
a
you.
slave and having to give them the profits of my labor.
I
Couldn't
don't
that
think
be
you're,
nice?
I don't think you're allowed to use that word, Andrew.
which one?
Well, what would you call it if you work for somebody? If you do labor, and they keep the profit of your labor, what would you call it?
I mean, you're
Government.
not wrong. I just don't think that we're
Indentured
allowed to
servitude,
use that.
okay?
Yeah, I don't think we're allowed to use that word.
I'm not indentured, Benny. There's no debt that I can pay off.
Well, you use their roads, don't you?
Yeah, but that's because we
Who's gonna
signed a
pay for
social
the road?
Is
contract.
there an alternative? If we can work out an alternative, I'm perfectly okay not using the shitty, poorly maintained roads.
Yeah, where we're going, you won't need roads.
True.
4x4s from here on out.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
Driving on people's lawns.
Yeah. Fuck
Well,
it.
I
Not
mean,
on your road. Yeah.
I guess, what did
You know
we
what,
do
though?
before? What year did income tax come into effect? 1911, 1912?
We didn't have a world war to pay for.
Well, yeah, but like, how did we get roads before there was income tax?
I don't magic.
We definitely had cars before we
Pe-
had World War One, so we must have had roads.
But- Yeah, but that was a
No.
bunch of collective people.
There were no
deciding, like,
roads. It was.
No roads.
It's all just
okay.
your imagination.
I mean, a distinct possibility. We talked about CPP EIs going up as well. Again, a small increase, and it's based on maximum insurable earnings. So if you're an employee, it goes up to $63 of deductions of taxes, and if you're an employer, it goes up to $89. Increase of 89, not goes up to, increases by.
If they haven't tried to kill small businesses enough over the last 2 years.
Well, have a little bit more. Carbon tax is also going to go up. We're going from $40 a ton to $50 a ton, which in practical terms, going back to our roads, this means gasoline is going to go having a carbon tax of about 5.8 cents to having a carbon tax of about 11 cents per liter.
I thought
from our roads.
I thought we were being taxed. Couldn't they fix this by now with how much we're paying for carbon tax? Like, wouldn't they fix?
No, the carbon tax is increasing. It's going from $40 a ton to $50 a ton.
But, so, like, what were we paying all this tax for if it's not like fixing the climate?
We haven't paid enough tax, Benny. We need to pay more tax.
And that'll fix the environment.
Yeah.
More cowbell. Wow, these guys are so smart.
What?
And that's why they take deductions for your retirement for CPP.
Because you're not smart enough to manage your own money or build your own fucking road. Natural gas also is the other thing that this affects that it's going up. Carbon tax affects a bunch of things, but the big stuff, like consumer obvious stuff, is fuel. The example I have is for gasoline. Natural gas also goes up. I don't understand how natural gas works. It's going to cost you more money though, because they're going to add taxes to it. So
natural gas.
If you live in Canada,
when you eat a lot of stuff. When you eat a lot of stuff, you naturally
there's a song.
let gas out.
There's beans.
I understand that part of natural gas.
Fruit.
I don't understand how they tax natural gas.
You pay taxes on the beans.
Yeah.
Yes.
And every time you fart, you're supposed to track it and give them like a nickel.
They have an app
How do you
for
weigh
it.
it though?
There's an app
I don't know.
for it.
Yeah, there's probably an app
just-
for it that they track you with.
Yeah. You know what? They'll just get the info. Don't worry about it. You'll get a bill at the end of the year.
Don't ask.
They'll get
Yeah.
the apprentice parts
Yeah.
of the bag.
I thought they were going to give out
Then
little.
how do you weigh the bag? What is
little-
a fart
little
heavier than
gauges.
air?
No, they just have little gauges that that you put in there, and then it gauges how
You
much.
just have
how
to
much gas
insert
it is.
this rectal device to
Right,
measure
so
the
like-
volume of gas leaving.
So
and
you
then
do
you're
like
fine.
liters per kilometer, then you have to like figure out farts per ton.
Yeah.
No, just farts per million. I believe is how they measure that.
Farts per million. That might be a show title right there.
Like, I like
Yeah.
All right, the next one I actually have to read though, because I don't understand how this works, so I'm just going to read it verbatim.
Okay.
The federal government announced its intentions to impose a second carbon tax through fuel regulations. If fuel producers can't meet new requirements, they'll have to pay the second carbon tax. The federal government estimates the second carbon tax will increase the cost of gasoline by 11 cents per liter in 2030. The federal government's second carbon tax takes effect December 1, 2022.
So hold on. We're raising carbon tax 1 and then implementing carbon tax 2 at the same time because it's not working enough? Like, can't they just increase carbon tax 1?
This is part of why I don't understand how carbon taxes work, because like this one is on the producer side, but I don't understand because like the first one was also on the producer side, but I have to pay for it when I fill my truck up. I'm not really.
Yeah, I'm confused.
So,
I am
so
super-
if
Can
if we were
someone just
to
say no?
No.
Like,
Did it work?
Like, no, like, can't one of the like? I'm a small business owner, not even barely. Like, I imagine Petro-Canada can go to the federal government and say, "Go suck it."
Yeah, but this doesn't cost them anything. They pass it all on to us schmucks.
oh yeah,
I know.
What are we
that's
gonna
the issue,
do?
right? Yeah,
Well,
government
this
says
is where
do
I'm. This is where I'm struggling with this. Is that
Are you
if
gonna
the
go find
fuel
gas
producer
somewhere
can't meet the
else?
new requirements, then they'll have to pay a second carbon tax. It's like, well, why would the fuel producer bother to try and meet the requirements? Then they're just gonna like increase the price that I pay at the pump.
Yeah.
So if I combined the previous statement with this statement, gas is actually going up 22 cents, 22.05
So-
cents.
Yes, but no. It's going up right now. The
Oh,
carbon tax on gas is increasing from almost 6 cents to just over 11 cents per liter. The second carbon tax will add an extra 11 cents in 2030, in 8 years.
So it's gonna
But the
take
second
some time
carbon
to
tax-
get there.
The second carbon tax could come into effect starting on December 1 of this year.
But does
Is
that
that
include inflation?
thoroughly confusing?
Yes. Because I
don't-
have
Does it
no
include-
idea
so is that-
if and when we're gonna have to pay any. So it's basically it's governmenting tax.
Right.
Is what it is.
So, but is that 11 cents in 2030 accounting for inflation between now and then?
Probably not.
Because that. So is that 11 cents going to go up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. That's
So-
the government way. Even they don't know what
can
they're
we-
doing.
Carbon tax.
Can we vote out now for not have it?
I mean, we could try. Like
11 divided by 8.
we tried to like
11 divided by 8?
vote out the $15 an hour minimum wage thing in Ontario, and here we are on the cusp of that happening. Or I guess it did just happen 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So if my math is correct, or my Google skills are good enough, it's going to go up 1.3 cents, 1.375 cents a year until it reaches the 11-cent mark, because that seems to be a magic number for some reason.
Yeah, but probably
in
not
2030.
adjusted for inflation. And yeah,
Oh, see, it's 11 cents a year. I think there was just a typo.
Possibly.
this is the worst timeline ever.
Oh no, it gets worse. I have much worse.
Yeah.
The taxation rate on alcohol also going to be
Oh,
increasing.
It's like the one cope I have left.
So, excise taxes, as we all know, alcohol gets taxed very heavily. Part of this is done by the provinces, part of this is done by the Fed. Excise taxes are going up. As it stands right now, half the cost of your beer is in excise taxes. Almost 2/3 of the price of wine is in excise taxes. And 3/4 of the cost of spirits is in excise taxes, all from the federal government.
Thank God
New
they're
provinces
around.
get to
What
add
would we
more.
do with all this extra money?
Drink a lot more, apparently.
I would drink double what I drink now.
Yeah, and still be
Apparently,
saving
I would
money.
drink 3 times. I'd
Yeah.
be drinking 3 times more. I don't think my liver can take that.
I'm willing to experiment.
Yeah.
For
Potentially.
science, Pierre. For science.
Okay.
And I had to ask Pierre about this one before the show. The other change. Tobacco is increasing $4 per carton of cigarettes. And I was not sure if this was a lot or a little. And it turns out that it is on the little end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's not that high. Unfortunately, I still smoke for now. But I mean, you were to take it into consideration, it's about 50 cents a pack, give or take, which is not a lot, but depending
That's
how much you
only
smoke.
because the price of cigarettes has risen so drastically over the last several years that like
right. Yeah.
a
At
decade ago,
$4,
50 cents would have been huge. But now it's like, whatever. That's nothing compared to the $20 or
Right.
whatever you're paying for quality
Pack-
smoked
a pack.
So buy
A pack.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like
Right.
back in the day, it was like $20 for a carton at the reserve or less.
You could get you and your buddy could split on a carton of name brand cigarettes at $40, or to take $20 each. Now that gets you 2 packs.
And as we know,
Like,
$20 is $20.
Yes, sir. You know what? I was actually debating wearing that shirt and this one tonight. Damn, I missed an opportunity.
Both good
on that one.
choices.
Yeah.
Both good choices.
I mean,
I
talking
don't
about
think there's anything
taxes,
else
that's a
like
good one.
super exciting in the taxes. The Ontario tax one, there is going to be a pledged cut to. Sorry?
We already talked about that stupid like travel tax benefit
No,
bullshit that's coming through. And
I
like,
wasn't going to talk about that one.
well, we already have, but how stupid it is. But like
our fat friend Premier Ford has pledged to cut the Ontario gas excise tax by 5.7 cents a liter.
Oh, great. So we're only going to go up like 4 or 5 cents or whatever.
4 cents instead of 11.
Yeah.
With or without
Thanks.
inflation.
Thanks, Dougie.
Without, because it's current day.
Yeah. Thanks, Dougie.
Okay.
Fat piece of shit.
I don't know that there's anything else particularly exciting. That most of the provinces don't have very big changes. There's property tax changes and income tax bracket changes. I don't think there's anything else terribly exciting across that, but go read about your province and figure out what the government's going to do to screw you today. Or I guess 2 days ago, because it's the 3rd. Most of this is in effect now.
Yeah. Make sure you get your lubricant because they won't bring it for you.
Well, it's a petroleum product, right? So they'll have to charge you carbon credits on it.
Two carbon credits, one for each tax.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, on to gun stuff.
Like
First one's in the Toronto Sun. Toronto's gun violence exploded after police street checks scrapped. This is from 25 December 2021. It's a Goldstein article. Is it Berenstein Bears or Berenstein Bears?
I guess, are they German or?
Goldstein?
I mean, it's Frankenstein, right?
I mean, it's something.
Is it I and then E or E then I?
EI.
Yeah, I don't know. Just...
In any event, 2014, Toronto police stopped carding because it was racist. And for some reason, people get shot more now in Toronto than they used to.
Weird.
Which is probably completely unrelated to not having random conversations with people doing sketchy things in sketchy places in Toronto.
Yeah.
Totally, completely unrelated, likely. Maybe.
Right.
Probably. Maybe not.
That's a very bold racist comment, but potential.
Well, I feel like this is one of those things like, if you're a beat cop and you're out at 3 a.m. and you see somebody that looks sketchy in like a high crime area doing a sketchy thing, you should be like, you okay? Should you be at home?
You good?
Do you
What are you doing?
have a reason to be out here being a hoodlum?
I mean, I was carded as a teenager.
Yeah, buying smokes. That's different.
No. Like I was at a house party drinking underage. And then it's okay. There's like a thing where you can't get in trouble for telling the story sometime after, right? But we were at a house party drinking underage, and we left the house party to go to the McDonald's down the street because we were all hungry and had the munchies. Yes. So there may have been some marijuana smoking as well. And
that's legal now.
Yeah.
Good now.
And on the way between the house party and the McDonald's, which was not very far, a cop pulled the 3 of us over and like questioned us as to where we were going and where we were coming from, and asked to see all of our ID. We all complied because we're kids. If they'd asked me now, I would have told them to go, pound sand because I'm not doing anything illegal. And
I'm a free man on the land. Am I being detained?
Exactly. And, we did what we did because we were dumb kids and didn't know any better. But like, then we were like very quickly let to go on our way because he determined that we were not up to like.
Because when you said that we're really hungry and going to McDick's, he was like, yeah, it seems reasonable. Have a nice hamburger.
Yeah, because like we weren't being a nuisance or anything. We were just like a couple of kids going from A to B. And like he was doing the like, what are these kids out doing? But we had a reasonable story and he let us go almost instantly. Like the whole interaction took less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure some people will say that that's because I'm white and everything, but I mean, if that was the case, shouldn't I have not been carded in the first place?
Oh, it's dark, they couldn't see you.
So from what I gather from this whole story, if they bring carding back, if you say you're going to McDonald's, you get away with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yes.
On your side.
So, 2014, they stopped the carding. Since then, the deaths with firearms, shootings resulting in death in Toronto has effectively doubled and has been consistent. 2014, 2015, 26 people killed with firearms. 2016 through 2021, the average is like middle 40s, 45-ish people. Some years higher, some years lower. But like it's in that range, right? Which in a big place like Toronto, that's still not
a lot.
Not really. Not when you look at a place like New York or Los Angeles or Chicago.
Yeah, it's
and
definitely
like
Chicago, yeah.
Other large North American urban centers.
Yeah.
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 It's not great that there's 40 people that got shot to death. Not saying that's a good thing. But 26 was a lot better than 50 that they're getting up to. This year was 43.
Are these strictly crime related?
No, shootings, homicides with a firearm.
So would this include anything, including police officers, or this is strictly
criminal shootings.
Yeah, so it would be like all like 99% of it that's gang violence, and then the few random like domestics and everything else. And not to say that those things don't happen, and they're also, but like by and large, it is gangbangers shooting gangbangers.
No, when we're talking about 43 people being shot and killed in Toronto this year, we're talking about 41 of them being criminals shooting at other criminals, one of them being a person standing in the way, and one of them being a domestic incident. And I might have those numbers off slightly, but it's in that realm.
Statistically, it falls somewhere in that. Yeah.
The other piece with this is shootings overall are way up, and it turns out that people in Toronto are bad at it. 2014, the year carding ends, 177 shooting incidents in Toronto. Criminal discharge of a firearm. After 2014, it averages around 400 incidents a year. Again, some years a little higher, some years a little lower. No years that it broke 500, although it was close in 2019 at 492. 2021, 392 shootings.
Yeah.
Like, the rate of shootings versus, like, people being shot to death is actually not very good.
Well, if you're driving by and you're like your G-Wagon and you're holding your Glock 26 because it's a prohib, or it's like the 19 with the actual 19 length barrel, like your sight radius is nothing, and it's really hard to do that.
You guys use sights?
Tactical training would be a lot more.
So,
yeah.
Carding bad, carding racist, shooting criminals also bad. Criminals being shot, racist.
Yeah. Criminals being shot by other criminals, also racist, yeah.
And unless they're both well, that all depends on which potential minority it is.
Well, you have to figure out the victim hierarchy, like which one is who is the bigger victim in this case, and I don't mean size wise, because I don't want to fat shame somebody, right?
No, but that also plays into it. That's part of the victim hierarchy.
So if one person's white, like you're automatically at the top, you're the racist. But what if you're like
You can't say
just
you're at the
below?
top if you're white. That is definitely not
Yeah,
acceptable.
Yeah,
no,
but
and
so-
that's why we're not
but you're
allowed
at
to
the-
say things like the cream rises to the top and things like that, because that is racist.
but you're at the top of the bottom, if that makes sense, right? Like,
I feel like we're at the
If
bottom
you-
of the barrel. If you're not playing along with us on Monday Night Live on YouTube, you're missing out on some serious funny
Yes.
comments from the Albertan. Because,
Yeah.
man, the Albertan has been on fire this episode. The comments have been
Yeah.
very good in YouTube.
Yeah,
But
he's got
I'm
the,
far
he's
too
got the
distracted to read them.
yeah, yeah. He's got the right amount of alcohol in his system right now to make like he's on fire.
Very funny,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good. So if you're not playing along with us
Yeah.
on Monday Night Live on YouTube, you should 9:00 Eastern until I get drunk and go to bed, or usually about 10:30.
And we'll be sure to pass on your message to Tim. He's still busy checking books in and out of the library, but
He's almost learned the Dewey Decimal System.
yeah, almost.
Almost. A few more lessons. I'm sure he'll have it.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything else in that. I just thought it was a funny article because, like, criminals in Toronto being
Agreed.
criminals.
Weird.
Last one. This is on thedailywire.com, which I don't know, but we're going with it. Hardly any Canadians have turned in their now outlawed firearms to the government.
Whoa.
what?
Imagine my shock.
Yeah, but that's not very patriotic of Canadians, wouldn't you say?
I mean, technically, they're not outlawed yet. We still have till
No.
May.
No, they
Yeah.
are illegal.
that-
They're just it's an amnesty.
Yeah.
So we
And
have
I wonder
until
how
May.
many of those 160 were not voluntary.
I am actually curious if there was something that maybe they took a few firearms here and there for a potential domestic or someone getting into a
Yeah, but those
brawl
wouldn't
at a
be
bar for the
turned
COVID.
in. Like I'd say those probably wouldn't have been counted. They would have just been seized as evidence and things like that.
Yeah, but
Well-
if it boosts the number to 160,
Yeah,
I mean, they
only
probably would have left it
160
lower.
Firearms, only
So
160
it's-
firearms that the Liberal government prohibited more than a year and a half ago have been deactivated or surrendered according to Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So if
Right,
something
so
gets
that's the-
confiscated by the cops, it does get as far as I know, it gets deactivated.
No,
No,
it gets
destroyed.
destroyed.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So this
steal
is
back.
this is voluntary surrender, which is a different thing. This is not when the government says we're taking your gun. This is when you're saying, "Dear Officer Friendly, I would like to give you this. I don't want it anymore."
I am a giant cuck. Here's my gun.
And also my wife.
Yeah.
I would like
I was
neither of them
smart.
back.
I told my wife if I ever surrender those to shoot me before I get there. You gotta
I mean,
switch that
that's
up.
it's.
Yeah. But then
That's
that would be
upland,
one of
I'll
those
give you
other
that.
stats. Yeah.
So
Maybe
they've
I'll be
got,
at the next
1 in
stat.
43 that would be the domestic.
they've got 18 firearms that were formerly classified as restricted that have been converted to deactivated.
Yeah,
Which is,
not converted to full auto. That would have been way more fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got the deactivated 18 firearms that were affected by the OIC, and the remaining 142 that were turned in for destruction, voluntarily surrendered for destruction. Why anyone is turning in firearms when the government has not decided what to do yet is the part where I'm a little bit lost.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to remain law-abiding, and
I want the government to produce some guidelines and laws around this because they've made an OIC, which, okay, they made an OIC, great.
We're
That's
still
not
law
law.
abiding.
Yeah, you're still law abiding
no,
by keeping that
I'm
in
saying-
possession.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they're law-abiding, but they've given up.
Well,
They've
and
given up.
I've probably said this before. Those type of firearms owners probably shouldn't have had guns in the first place and should take up something more their speed, like knitting.
Yeah,
Hey.
but I mean,
Or
those
crocheting.
knitting needles are pretty long and
There's a
sharp.
difference.
So
There's a difference between knitting and crocheting.
Crocheting is definitely harder. You have to count all the stitches, and it's very
yeah, and isn't there like some sort of hook?
yes.
Okay.
Wow. Do you guys
It's
really
like
not know how
rugby.
to
So
short
one involves hookers.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotta be a good skill in the
Rugby.
future at some point, eh?
Yeah. Exactly. That could be part of your Patriot challenge is learning how to knit. And I actually used to know how to do it. I just haven't done it in forever.
Not my cup of tea. I'm not
Yeah.
really an arts and crafts kind of a guy.
No, I mean, like I can hem my own pants and stuff. Like I have my own sewing machine because that I know how to do. But
Because you're a man.
it's
you do
tactical
man
black
things.
and it's like a heavy duty like metal sewing machine because
Is it
Excellent.
shiny black or
Yeah.
matte
I'm
black?
pretty sure Singer.
it's shiny black because it didn't come in matte black. Yeah.
You know?
I'm pretty sure there are 1911s that are marked. I think it's Singer that makes
Singer.
sewing machines.
That's right. Yes.
Husqvarna makes lawn and garden equipment, sewing machines, and firearms, or at least they used to.
They
Yeah.
used to. Swedish Mausers, right?
Yeah, well, a bunch and pistols and all kinds of stuff. You can get some Husqvarna branded pistols.
Would go great with my chainsaw.
Imagine if they made like an AR and then a chainsaw bayonet attachment. Like that would be like,
Fuck yeah.
yeah.
That would be pretty good.
And then you could stitch your uniform together with one of their sewing machines that you would use when you're holding. Yeah.
But it would have to be orange and white and a little bit.
Well,
blue.
yeah, as per SOP for that industry, because they're all orange and or some sort of shade of orange or red that kind of blends together.
Yes. I'm in.
Regarding the firearms change, when the government announces legislation, because the OIC originally they had promised, and I think they've retracted, that there's going to be a buyback, I would like to see how much money they're not going to give me for the firearms that I will not be surrendering.
Then I can
The worst
determine
part.
how I want to deal with it.
The
Right,
worst part
so-
is they're only going to hand you your mandated def that they increased your CPP for.
Well,
I know, and it's my, and I get like, whatever the option is to not turn the firearms in is the option that I'm likely to pick. But I'd like to at least see what the options are. So I don't know why we're surrendering any number of firearms, never mind 160, which I'm glad it's not a big number. That's an embarrassingly small
Yeah.
number. But
Yeah.
also any number that greater than 0 is too many.
Yeah.
Agreed. It should be -5. That would make me happy.
Yeah.
Well,
They actually
if
found
you
5
wanna
people
count
from the
numbers,
previous registry that had registered them. Yeah.
If you look at RCMP's numbers, it is in the negative. Didn't they lose like 400 firearms last year?
At least.
I don't know about
So,
last year. I think that's
that's
over like a
negative
10-year
numbers.
period.
Yeah.
How funny would that be if
I'm
those
willing to believe
160
that was in the last 6 months, maybe even the last 6 days alone.
But how funny would that be if out of those 400 firearms, people turned in 160 of those? So we're still in the negative, like what, few hundred?
I don't know if
That'd
those
be
would be
nice.
counted because
Yeah. I mean, the military's lost a bunch of like full auto guns and everything too, right? So,
Hey, just look at Afghanistan.
well, not
Yeah.
our government. They didn't
Yeah.
leave anything there really.
well,
I mean,
they
I'm
didn't
sure we
send
did,
anything
but-
there in the first place. But
Yeah.
that's beside the point.
That's for another.
Okay, so between 2005 and 2019, it was 813 guns.
Okay, so I was really close when I said a 10-year period. Anyway,
Yeah,
Mm.
That RCMP. Yeah.
that RCMP.
government loses guns. I'm not turning in shit. COVID
Well,
continues to be
like,
dumb. The government is fine.
Like I'm not turning anything in at least until you tell me like, not that I'm advocating turning things in or not turning things in because you make up your own mind on that one. But why would you turn things in before you even know what the turn-in process is and what you're going to get for it? Like if you're going to be that guy that cucks and turns it in, at least wait till you get paid for it.
You know what?
Right
It
now
could be?
you turned it in for nothing, no dollars, not even $1 in your pocket. You're just like, here you go. I don't want this anymore.
How many of them were people who weren't firearms owners? Like,
None.
like how many firearms get
Yeah,
handed into
I'm
police
with
for
Ed.
instruction every year?
None of them were, or none of them should have been.
160 firearms were voluntarily surrendered to the government. You can't voluntarily surrender a firearm if you don't legally own the firearm.
Yeah, that's only those crazy
get,
buybacks where you get a gift card.
People get inherit or whatever. It goes to the will. The family doesn't want to deal with it. How many firearms on average get given into police for destruction?
I have no idea what that number is, but that's not.
No. My point is, it doesnn't have to necessarily be.
Yes, I'm sure that there could have been some where
by the OIC. It could just be they're tracking these numbers now because of the OIC.
Grandpa had a Swiss Arms. He died. Nobody else wanted it in the family or had a license, or they couldn't transfer it because of the OIC. Yes, I'm sure there was a couple of those that have happened in the last 2 years, year and 3/4, or whatever, year and a half. But like,
I'm not saying everything is like that, but like, I think we have to acknowledge that some of these firearms would have been surrendered anyways.
No, I refuse to acknowledge this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I kind of have a hard time seeing that because some of these were prohibs, right, or newly prohibited. I don't know many people that would have some of the new prohib stuff. Like, how many of them had AR-15s?
Except that, like, so for the stuff that was non-restricted, why wouldn't the
but even then, like, we're talking, if you're talking about
whose grandfather owns cool guns and dies and doesn't have somebody in the family that has a gun license, and just like says, well, there's no registry of this, so I just take this now.
Well, if you get some
speculating, of course, for entertainment purposes.
Yeah,
some lawyer who doesn't know the whole story and is like, well, I'm pretty sure I heard that they banned these guns, so we better send them to the cops.
Why does it even go to that though? Like, my father owns guns. When he passes, it's not going to go to an estate. It's going immediately from his gun safe into mine. Like, there are no lawyers or anything involved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this would have to be somebody that, like, didn't have family that already has a gun license and everything else, that just, like, so I mean, yes, I'm sure there are a handful of those things that transferred this way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I don't think it's enough of it's a significant portion of that. Because I don't think anyone, I mean, look at the compliance rates for the gun registry in Quebec.
Yes.
Pretty dismal. I've never been prouder of you, Quebec. But then, like, I think it would be the same thing with this, where it's like, if it's an AR, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. It's registered, it's not going to transfer, and all of those things.
No.
But if it's any of the other things on there, I really don't think that anyone would be calling that in.
If you had your grandfather had a Ruger Mini 14, technically that's unrestricted.
Yeah.
So it should be non-traceable, right? And you're just kind of, over the Christmas break, you did some drywalling and painting, right? Who's gonna know?
Well, all that time off over the break is a great time to get home renos done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Shall we carry on to feedback? I think I'm going to put Eric's in for next week, but we can address Chris's today.
Chris.
We know Chris.
But yeah. Like, what does he got to say now? We got him his fucking t-shirt.
That's a sweater now.
True.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
You are.
Chris's email reads, "Hello, Patriots. For the last podcast before Christmas, I want to wish you all..." I'm sorry, Chris, I'm bad at reading. You're much better at writing than I am at reading it. "For the last podcast before Christmas, I want to wish you..." God damn it, that's twice on the same word.
Podcast.
"For the last podcast before Christmas, I want to wish all of you and your loved ones Merry Christmas. Thank you for keeping spirits high all year long, and for all courses, events, and products you bring to the community. I hope for more. For the last episode in December, book club, I wondered if there is a hidden agenda behind picking this book now. I hope so. Very timely and may come in extremely useful if things turn really bad. Stay strong, Chris. Oh, I neglected to check the listener feedback email before we recorded last week. I am a bad podcast host, and my contempt for our audience knows no bounds.
Yes, and a belated Merry Christmas and New Year to you as well.
And
Yes.
all of our other listeners, happy Christmas and New Year and
New
other
Yule,
non-denominational
Hanukkah,
holidays that
Kwanzaa.
you celebrate.
Yeah. All of the things, yeah.
Book club, as you may have noticed, is becoming a little bit more hands-on skills of late.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that there was an agenda behind it, but I wouldn't say that there wasn't.
Good information to have should you ever be in a situation where you're having to deal with an insurgency.
Yeah.
On one side or the other.
Yeah.
So kind of like the train thing we were talking at the beginning of the episode, right?
Not unlike the train thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I'm not sure if Chris paid for his shirt or his sweater, but he paid for something in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
We also got an email from Eric, but I think we're going to address that next week because I feel like this could be a topic unto itself. Plus, it's late.
It could.
And I'm getting ready for bed.
Yeah.
January Book Club. We're doing the True North Tradecraft Disaster Preparedness Guide, a primer on urban and suburban disaster preparedness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I
at this
might get
point,
another one.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great author. We
Mhm.
know him a little bit.
Podcast, yeah.
Great author. Book is an easy read.
Yeah.
My 15 minutes of
Yes.
reading today, I think I knocked out 11 pages.
Does that
Yeah.
picture?
No.
Damn
There are a couple of spelling errors. Feel free to tell Boris that you found them. Sorry, buddy. And like for people that watch the other CPP religiously, like this is going to be like I wouldn't even call it a 101. Like it's going to be like, but for the average person, this is a great intro on where to get started.
One, it says it in the title. It's a primer, right?
Yeah. This gets you ready for Gulag, or at least thinking.
Thinking you're
I
ready
love
for you.
Gulag. My favorite map.
Yeah.
All right, let's go anti-clockwise. We'll go the opposite way around this time. Gavin, where can everybody find you on the internet?
The best place to find me on the internet is on the Instagram, UrbexGTA.
All right. Pierre?
As you can tell from the new fancy background, right here.
It's a podcast. They can't hear that.
No, they
And
can't.
they should be on YouTube on Mondays, and then they would see it. My wife figured it out. Shirts, t-shirts, sweaters. I'll press underwear as long as they're not used. We can put anything on there. off-the-wall-customizing@gmail.com. Yeah, you can reach out, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff.
No, they love used underwear. Send them your used underwear.
I mean, $20 is just $20. I feel like you could have a special rate for that.
Oh, I mean, email inquire before you send them, maybe.
Yeah, I'd work that one out.
Yeah.
Benny, where can everybody find you?
BennyLewis.ca. Get your slings, sentry straps, speed loaders, you name it. We'll see if we can get it for you.
Okay. Cool. You have any where people can find you?
I do, but if you haven't found me yet, I'll find you.
That works. If you've listened to the show this long, you deserve a discount code. Go to RagnarokTactical.ca. Use the discount code Patriot at checkout. You'll save yourself some money. You're literally taking money out of my kid's college fund, but that's fine. It's all going to be free someday anyway, right? He doesn't need that.
Yeah.
No.
Hal on YouTube says he's enjoyed the crossover with Hoser Gun Guy. I don't know that Colt and Hoser Gun Guy are the same person, but I have never seen them both at the same time, so it's possible
true,
that they
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
We value.
I think he's a little
your
bit more
opinion.
blonde than you are, but whatever.
Damn.
All guys on the internet look the same when they have beards and tactical gear.
According to CSIS, every white man with a beard at a gun range looks the same. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
I have been told that Andrew has been mistaken for me.
It's the hats. They're getting us
Yeah.
confused because of the same hats.
Yeah.
I asked, he was confused why you were eating bacon at one point or something.
I mean, that
Yeah.
bacon's really good. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Never mind. If you want to send us your feedback, send us an email, feedback@canadianpatriotpodcast.com. Let us know what you think. I have to apologize to Rod. We couldn't get Rod on the show. Colt's joining the podcast. Colt's new on the show tonight. We didn't want to add 2 new people on the same time. So Rod got bumped to next week to make room for Colt this week.
Yeah.
So we will see Rod next week when we address Eric's gun questions.
Wow.
For all of our listeners out there in the podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the True North Strong